throughout your time of this next coming year, you might want to start collecting things like this prayer service. So I encourage you to take it with you and to start that if you so desire. You'll never know when it might come in handy, even if it's just to get a prayer that you reflect on or to remind yourself the name of this song and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on tonight's theme, and that's all it is tonight's theme. And that's student minister, reflection of God. Student minister, reflection of God. We split training up this year to 2 different sessions. You already had, in April, the idea of building community. And that was just to get you guys and us to the point where we knew one another's names, where you begin to interact together. Okay? And now, what we're going to do in these next 2 days is prepare you for your summer in preparation for your year of ministry. Okay? And so, what is very important is that you know you are rooted in a foundation on prayer. All right? Some of you sit here tonight knowing that you have a relationship with God, but not quite sure what that means. We're wondering if there are people here that are far ahead of you in terms of that relationship with God. What I'm going to ask you to do is to put all of that to one side and to enter into this process of the next day and a half. And just trust that somehow, in some way, the Lord is going to speak to you, to me, through this process of reflecting on the fact that ministers, both student ministers, pastoral staff ministers, we are called to be reflections of God. Now, you're going to be trying to communicate Christ to others. That's really what your ministry is about. You're like midwives, if you will. What you're doing is you're trying to help people to birth a relationship with the living God. And that may seem like a daunting task, but what you need to do, just like a midwife needs to do, she needs to have all kinds of skills in order to help that woman deliver her child. That's the same thing with us in ministry. And when I say us in ministry, I'm including all of you. You need skills and you need plans to help you so that you can, in fact, help others to encounter Christ. And that's what these days are going to be about. But how can you help another person to encounter Christ if you don't see, or if you have difficulty in seeing Christ in yourself? That's a really difficult thing sometimes. And that's what we're trying to help you to understand. That each of you, ourselves, we are reflections of Christ for others. Okay? I think the way you come to grips with that is through prayer. And we will be talking about prayer in the next day and a half. But right now, what I'd like to do is a little thing with you to help you to come to understand what we hope this is all about. So Pam is handing out little papers, and I'm asking you just leave them right where they are. You need a pen, and we're going to time you. All right? What I'd like you to do in the next 3 minutes, and I'll time you, and then we'll stop. All I want you to do is do the top half, not the bottom. Just the top half. And in the next 3 minutes, after looking at them, I want you to circle those words which describe who you are. And you can also add to the list. Not the bottom, just the top. Ready? Go. circle, check, whatever you want to do. By the way, nobody's going to be asking you to share this. So. You have about 20 seconds. Put your pens down. Okay. Now, you're going to go to the next list, the one below. And again, you're going to have 3 minutes. And I want you to circle or check any of these words which describe who you are or how you would describe yourself. Ready? Go. Okay? Stop. Now turn your paper over. And on the back side, what you'll see is which images best describe how I experience God. Okay? Which of the images that best describe how I experience God? Basically, I'm going to give you a minute and a half. Ready? Go. About 10 seconds. Okay? That's it? Okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to go back and take a look at the first set. And count them up. Count up the number and just put it on the side there, maybe next to the question. Okay, do the same for the one at the bottom. And then the same for the one on the other side. Okay, now close your eyes because I want to see what we did here, what happened here. Okay, close your eyes. You know, I'm not going to embarrass you or anything. All right? How many of you had more negative than positive? Just raise your hands. More negative than positive. All right, that's good. How many of you had, well, you can open your eyes now. How many of you had at least 2 images that best describe who God is? At least 2. Okay? All right, good. All right. Okay. So let me just say this to you. That the negatives and the positives, how many have, well, let's do it this way, and you can keep your eyes open. How many have 5 negatives? Keep your hands up.
5 more? At least? Or?
At least. Okay. All right. Now, you can put your hands down as, no, keep them up as I start counting down. How many had more than 5? How many had more than 10? How many had more than 15? Okay. All right, you can put your hands down. All right, positives. How many had 5? How many of you had 10? How many of you have had 20? How many at 25? What did you write them in? How many have big egos? Okay. You put them down. Now, going to the positives, please look. How many of you circled priest? If you circled priest, please put up your hand. Only one. How many circled prophet? 2. How many circled royalty? All right. Did anyone ever hear of the fact that when you are baptized, you are made a priest, a prophet, and a king? Anybody ever hear of that? Yes. It's part of the baptismal rite. When the priest or the minister of baptism signs you with chrism after you are baptized, he reminds you that at the point of baptism, you have been chosen by God as priest, as prophet, as king. You are part of the priestly people, okay? The prophetic people, the kingly people, or the royal people, okay? So I just would like you to make note of that. Underline those 3, because that is an important piece of you telling yourself about the truth of who you are and who I am. Okay? Those are non-negotiables in describing who you are. You are a priest, a prophet, and a king, and you did nothing, not a thing, to receive those characteristics. By the mere fact that you were baptized into Christ, that is your reality. That is your character. Now, you can have those as part of your character that is unexercised, that is flabby, and because you don't put a lot of thought into it, or because you don't see yourself that way, but you cannot deny that those are the 3 gifts that you've been given. All right? Okay? You are created as a priest, a prophet, and a king. So what does that mean for you between the ages of 18 and 22 as a student minister? How are you going to be a priest to your residents this coming year? And how are you going to help them to discover that they are part of God's priestly people? How are you going to help them by your prophetic words? And how are you going to help them to recognize that prophetic office in themselves? And what does that mean to be a prophet? Okay. What does it mean to be a prophet? To tell the truth is what it means to be a prophet, even when it's not popular to do so. And how do you recognize the fact that you are royalty? That is part of the people of God, and that nothing can change that reality. This is how you have been given those gifts. I think many times people start out in student ministry saying, what am I going to do? What am I going to bring? You automatically start out with this reality of who you are. Okay? Make sense? Questions on that? You might want to put your name at the top of that paper so you don't lose it. Okay? One more thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brother Jim and to Pam. Can you just take a look at the top? Okay? All right? Now take a look at the back. The characteristics of how you relate to God, how you experience Him. Somehow, in some way, these 2 lists should line up, the front and the back, for you. Okay? What do I mean there? I mean that if you are going to describe yourself as a person of love, then hopefully on the backside, you have chosen lover as God, the divine lover. See what I'm saying? If you think that you are a a person who is patient or a peacemaker, then you should be able to find something on the other side that kind of reflects that in your own life. Okay? Now, there's a couple of ones that you might want to really take a look at, that you might want to say, maybe I need to work at seeing God in this way. It's not the most helpful. Record keeper might not be the most positive response of who you believe God to be. Okay? I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is you need to look at it. Okay? Brother Jim and Pam are going to give you a little bit more to think about, and then I'll be back.
I know it's